Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Empower Series Online. My name is Clifton Johnson. I'm the founder of the Empower Series Incorporated, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization brought to you by the generous donations of Comerica Bank, AE Media Group, and you. So thank you. You want to find out more about the Empower Series, definitely check us out on our social media accounts. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever your social media flavor is, we're there. So Google us and find us. You can also go to our website, www.empowerseries.com, find out about what we're doing, upcoming events, watch some videos, and if you choose to, you can also donate some money. We would greatly appreciate that. Our topic today is about preparing for college and really finding free money for colleges as well as career schools. Our guest is Tyler Johnston. Now, Tyler is a graduating junior from The Ohio State University. He's actually in summer school now, taking coursework so he can get a minor in entrepreneurship. He is going to be an architect, or he's going to get an architect degree, a BS in architecture in May of 22. And he's looking for a summer internship this summer of 2021. So if there's any architects out there that are looking for some sharp interns, Tyler is your guy. Now, he is going to be our guest because he was actually successful in earning and finding scholarships and grants of over $220,000 to pay for his school. And so he's able to pay for his school, including room, board, book supplies, transportation, miscellaneous, and even going to London for a study during the spring of last year when COVID broke out. And so he was very successful in doing that. And what we want to do today is we definitely want to share his experiences with you in the hopes that from that experience, it will give you inspiration to take action, the hope to believe that you can achieve the goal. You're going to learn something, and we're going to connect you to some resources that you can put into play after this program to be successful in finding free money for you to get an advanced degree. So without any further ado, Tyler, welcome to the Empower Series Online.
Hi, I'm excited to finally be here.
That's cool. It's been a long time, man. Well, here's the thing. I don't know if you remember this, but I first met you in March of 2000, I believe, right? Yeah. So for the past 21 years, I've been honored to be your father. Were you following me with that, bro?
Yeah, you kind of lost me for a second, but then I got it.
You got it? Yeah. You know, corny daddy jokes, right? But I'll tell you this, and you know, like a father, I'm showing some pictures right now of you. So that's how we met. You got a sister, and she's doing lovely. I want to just apologize to Michelle because basically you were our training ground in trying to be, you know, better parents. Tyler, you really need to make good and, you know, treat your older sister very well. You know that, right? Corny dad, right? Well, anyway, man, we're going to talk about some stuff. We're going to talk about your experience preparing for college, not only preparing for college, but also finding money, free money. And I would just have to say, I'm proud of you and Michelle. So it has been a real pleasure and a journey to watch you grow over the past 21 years. And you have an older sister, Michelle. So we give a lot of love and adapt to Michelle right now because she was the first one out. She actually helped train your mother and I on how to be better parents, and you got the benefit of that. So I think you owe your big sister. You probably will never be able to pay her back for all that she has done, making it smoother for you. But definitely, man, I would tell you that I love both you and Michelle. You guys are both very creative. I think you have the gene of your mother when it comes to creativity, as well as my mother, who's very creative as well. And I would just tell you what I really want for both you and Michelle is I want to make sure that you have a set of experiences that will really empower you and will help you move gracefully through life, think clearly, and form like an artist the desires of your life. And so I'm showing more pictures of you and Michelle right now, and also of us. And I would also want to give some respect and love to your mother, because I would tell you that the man you are today has a lot to do with the loving, nurturing environment that her and her longtime partner have provided for you, during the majority of your life. So definitely much respect and love go out to them. And like you said, it's been a long time coming, Tyler. So thank you for allocating some of your precious time to the Empire series today. And also sharing your experiences, because what we're going to talk about basically is your experience in preparing for college and your learnings from the successes and also the missteps that we both went through in finding free money to attend college. Definitely, what do you want people to kind of expect to get out of this sharing of your experiences today?
I want people to know that college is achievable for anybody that wants to go to it. And it's almost like a cheat code to success, depending on how you define success.
Okay, well, define cheat code for me. What do you mean by that?
So I saw college almost as this kind of, or at least getting into college as a game. So it was like you had to complete these certain tasks or defeat these like certain missions to get to this like end goal of getting into like a good college or a big college. And so I see it as a cheat code because in a lot of ways, statistically, having a degree will allow you to be accessible for higher levels of income in your future.
No, yeah, that's true. That's statistically it tells you that, but there are some exceptions, right? College is not for everybody. The path of college is not for everybody. But I would tell you that higher education is. So after high school, if you join an apprenticeship in a particular trade, or you go to a career school, or any other type of institution or experience of education where you're applying and learning, it will help you succeed and achieve your goals more, the chance of you achieving your goal more successfully. So that's definitely the case. But here's the interesting thing that you're talking about this. When I was entering high school, here's what I thought. I knew I wanted to go to college, not necessarily because I wanted the higher education, but I was playing football. I knew that I had to go to college to play football, to get drafted and play professionally, make all this money. I wanted to know how to manage money, so I wanted to major in business and finance. And so that was my motivating factor when I was in high school. I was doing my schoolwork, making sure that I got good grades, and I was working out, perfecting my skill of playing football, because I knew that my parents didn't have money to pay for college. And that was my motivation. What was your motivation? You said it was a game, but what was really your motivation of why you wanted to even play this game and go to college?
Overall, the idea of like expanding on my knowledge is always something that like resonated with me. So I always knew at least I wanted to go to college. I was never fully sure of what I wanted to do till I actually got to college, but I knew just unlocking that higher level of education was something that I wanted to pursue. And also the connections created within college is something that really resonated with me.
Okay, well, here's what I want to do. I want to first, before we get into the details of how do what are the different types of scholarships out there, the free money, how do you get them, where do you look for them, and all that other stuff. Before you start applying, I do want to talk about the preparation for college. So I have a belief and a bias towards if you want to go to college, the best investment is to use other people's money, and other people's money that you do not have to pay back. And so there's a way of preparing for that, in my belief, at least when you are a freshman in high school. Now, you might start that even when you're a senior in high school. It doesn't really matter the fact that you start or when you start, it's just that you got to start. So my thought is, if you start with getting involved with other activities besides just academics, so that by the time you complete your 3 years and you're starting to apply in your senior year for college, you have this unique craft of your story. And even if you weren't even intentional about doing that, because I wasn't really intentional, I just knew I wanted to play football and I wanted to have good grades. So by default, my brand in high school was about being a good athlete and being somewhat of a nerd and a combined of that. So I mixed with a lot of different people. I was more of a student athlete. There was newspaper articles about me, and basically it just said that Clifton leads by example. And they showed me as part of all of these clubs, part of the student body, and then they also showed me on the field. And that was my brand during high school. With you, I was really encouraging you to get involved with all of these summer activities. Like, you remember the T-ball program that you were involved in? Now, did you initially want to do that?
I would say I was intrigued by the idea. I don't think I was necessarily the first person. Like, I don't think I was the one that brought up the idea.
Right. So I was really encouraging you to do things during the summer that you pretty much did not find a lot of interest in. But when you did it, you enjoyed it, didn't you?
Correct.
Okay, was that the truth? You can be.
That is the truth. That is very much no, I'll be honest. I loved it was like the stress of just trying something new. And I didn't know if like I would enjoy it or like what to be expecting. But once I did the majority of those camps, I was like, oh, I love this. This is amazing. Like, even if I didn't like necessarily enjoy the camp, I feel like I made a lot of good connections with people.
Well, at T-ball, you did that 2 or 3 years.
I did that 2 years.
2 years, yeah, 2 years. And one of the years was like, I guess it was your freshman year in high school, because that was on your resume. And so for that one, that was fun. And then I tried to get you involved in different types of camps. You were very creative, though. You were making things. You were making meticulous WWE weight championship belts, and you were making clothes out of duct tape. You were very. Well, how would you call yourself during those formative years?
I would say I was very creative. I let my imagination take hold of my creative endeavors. If there was something that I saw that I wanted, instead of just like saving my money up for it, I would figure out a way to make it.
Yeah, to make it right, exactly. Very ingenious. And so from my perspective, I wanted you to have all these different sets of experiences during your high school year that you can use and apply on your on your application for scholarships and for college. And then we got you involved in the ACAP program. So I want to know, when was it that you decided that you really were going to be focused to go to college and look at this as a game? Do you remember what age you were?
Yeah, so I would say growing up, like I would just say roughly, I always knew that I wanted to go to college. It was never not an option for me in my head that I was not going to go to college. However, when I went through the ACAP program, it kind of just reassured me and lit a fire underneath me to kind of see college as a more serious like endeavor.
Okay. So, and then I took you to the Final Four in Indianapolis. So I was always giving you Final Four or college paraphernalia and things of that nature, just to give you the idea of going to college. But for some reason, there must have been something in the water up where you are, because you actually you went to an elementary school called the Buckeye Elementary School or something like that. And then all of a sudden you're talking about going to Ohio State instead of the Pac-10 school or University of Washington or some school in California, which is where I'm from. I just didn't understand that, man. You were brainwashed, huh?
No, I'm not brainwashed.
Well, maybe you go there for your master's program, right? Who knows, right?
Yeah.
All right, so again, what we're talking about is preparing for college is partly being involved in extracurricular activities. But the other thing was really studying in school. So how did you approach your schoolwork?
I would say I always had like the right head on my shoulder of like, oh, I need to set aside time to focus on my schoolwork, focus on my grades. Like even from the jump, I took my like education into my own hands. Cause like, I remember when I first got into high school, I wasn't necessarily scheduled into like the more accelerated, the AP classes. I kind of had to email my counselors and be like, why am I not in these classes? I think I should be in these classes. And so from that, I kind of just made sure I grinded and got all my schoolwork done, because I knew that I needed to get good grades if I wanted to proceed on this path for college.
So, but that was your focus. What would you tell students who may not be that strong when it comes to their academic studying? Do you recommend that they take these advanced AP courses and probably not do as well, or take the regular courses and get a better grade? What's your thoughts on that?
I would say at least try these higher level courses, and try these courses. Like I would recommend primarily going to, if your school has the opportunity for you to take college credit plus classes, or classes at a community college, I would recommend trying those out first, because often those might be a little bit easier than like the AP classes, and they're guaranteed credit. But say those options don't really work out for you, because they don't work out for everyone. I would say focus on your overall brand. And part of that is also your outside of the schoolwork, outside of the classroom, those kind of extracurricular activities, with those being like sports, volunteering, clubs.
So what about tutoring? What was your experience in getting help in certain courses that you were struggling in?
Oh yeah, tutoring. That's also another good one. I think often there's a lot of free resources out there, and for me, I think how I looked at tutoring was I would just find YouTube videos, or the Khan Academy is a good example of a company that has videos on tutoring and education and different topics. I would just go online to figure out how to do certain things, or with math classes, sometimes that was a little bit hard for me. So I would stay after class with my math teacher to kind of help understand certain problems or things that I was confused with.
Okay, so before we get into really you picking your colleges and applying for colleges, I want to know, what would you really recommend a student do to really make sure that they have a game plan towards preparing for college or preparing for this journey to get free money?
I would recommend that you start doing a little bit of research on what you like, what kind of things interest you. And again, I think my standpoint is college is a great key and it's a cheat code to success. However, it's not necessarily for everyone, but I think it's a good path to start on to lead you towards success. So I think a good start would just be thinking about what you would want to do and kind of doing a little bit of research, trying to look at what other people are doing with their life, see how they led to the path that they got to success, and kind of just do your own research, kind of figure out that little area.
Okay, and then also you took SAT scores and you took SAT exams and you took ACT exams. You took them both, and you actually increased your score, your SAT score, by 190 points. So you took both the SAT and the ACT, and you increased your SAT score by 190 points between the first one that you took and the last one that you used for your college application. Then on the ACT, you increase your points by 5. And so what would you tell people when it comes to preparing for those standardized tests and how to do well on them?
I would say, number one, if you have the ability to take the test multiple times, take it as many times as possible. But if you can't do that, they offer a lot of free resources on the College Board's website, and also the ACT.org website. So you can take past tests and they'll give you the answers, and you kind of can just learn a basis of what information or what questions you're stumbling on. And then from there, even further, they sell big textbooks of tests that you can go through. And additionally with that, I would say, again, there's free videos out there for kind of showing you misconceptions or tricky questions that people usually stumble on, or how you can manage time. There's a lot of resources on YouTube also, and that's what really helped me.
Okay, well, good. Well, here's what we're going to do now. I want to really give everybody some pointers on how to prepare for college. And so in the description section, there are links and there's a PowerPoint presentation or a PDF that you can download. That's going to have a lot more detail than what Tyler and I are going to be able to go over in our program today. So definitely click on those links in the description section of the YouTube channel, download those PDF files, visit these websites, because that's where you're really going to get the detail and the information that's going to help you better prepare. So there's 2 things that you should know when it comes to preparing for college. One is going to be around branding yourself and doing things not just around schoolwork and academics, but outside of school. But then the second thing is going to be around getting free tutoring. And there's a ton of resources out there. So there's 7. And so get your pens and paper ready. I'm going to go through those with you right now. If you feel like you need help, either preparing for your standardized exams or even just some grades, there are 7 types of resources I want to share with you that are all free. You should definitely take advantage of it. So download the PDF below in the description section. And the first I would say is your school. Go to your school and see what resources that they have available for after school help when it comes to certain subjects. Because most schools have some kind of mini makeshift tutoring sessions set up. Teachers will assist students by giving them extra credit or just helping them prepare for the tests that are coming up. So definitely do not leave that stone unturned. But the other thing you can do is check with other schools, because in most cases, if you're in elementary school, then you have some high school students and maybe college students that might come back and volunteer their time and tutor. And the same thing if you're in high school, there may be some college students who will come to high school and teach as well. So look at other schools that may have some tutoring assistance that is free. Another place to go is government programs. So there's a government program called Every Student Succeeds Act. If you go to this website, it's www.ed.gov, and you see that this is a replacement of the No Child Left Behind program. This website will have a lot of resources on there that can assist you when it comes to any kind of help that you may need. Now, to find out if your child is eligible for this, you need to contact your school district. Requirements vary by state, and your state Department of Education will have a running list of some eligible schools as well. Students are paired with knowledgeable tutors who may come from nonprofit organizations or community-based organizations, or may even be a teacher themselves. So that's a great resource that is free. The next one is your Boys and Girls Club. So every, Boys and Girls Club of America, click on that link. They have a program that works towards the development of children, and it can be found in like most communities, but they have programs from grades K to 12. So that's a free resource as well. Another one is called Learn to Be Foundation. So the Learn to Be Foundation is a nonprofit that was created to enrich students through free online tutoring. So students interact with other tutors through audio and digital chalkboards. The session lasts from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and the subjects can range anywhere from math, language arts, or science. So check that out if you're not aware of it. And also a ton of information on the websites as well. You probably heard of this, the Khan Academy. That's part of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Google. It is a trusted nonprofit organization. The website is an interactive, and it hosts a library of over 3,400 free videos covering grade school subjects, as well as advanced studies like finance and other things of that nature. Students can customize their learning sessions and instantly receive feedback on and track their progress. The last one is always your circle and your tribe. It's friends, family, and neighbors. So you'll find that there are willing people available to help you if you need help. You just got to reach out and ask. So those are 7 resources that definitely you do not want to leave those stones unturned. Go ahead and click the link below, download the worksheet, and have fun with it. So now, Tyler, I want to talk about when you actually started making a list of the colleges that you wanted to attend. I know I found the worksheet that we created, and we created this worksheet back in September of 2017. And that was the beginning of your senior year in high school. And really looking back at it, I think that was kind of late, but that's when we started it. And we created a schedule of the early application deadlines, the normal application deadlines, and when we would get the results. What do you have? Tell us about your experience in doing that, and then what do you want to share with other people that would help them benefit from your experience?
So I would say I'm the type of person that's like, you shoot for the moon because you always land amongst the stars. So I'm a very ambitious person. So with my college list, my like dream schools are like Stanford, Cornell, and then of course the Ohio State University, which is where I'm at now. But the normal way people usually tell you to like strategize for applying to college is to like have your dream schools, the ones that you not necessarily like could get into, like your grades, maybe you might be able to get into there, but it's like a tougher time. Then you have like the kind of the mid-range schools where it's like the schools that you probably will get into, they're safer bets. And then you kind of have like a good safety net at the bottom, which are the schools that are generally like for sure you'll get into. That way, when you're applying to these colleges, you're not going to get like a bunch of just like declines or deferrals. You'll always get in somewhere. So that's how I would recommend it. And again, you shoot for the moon, you'll land amongst the stars.
So, okay, good. So you identify your colleges, and then what about scholarships?
So for me, I would say I kind of started late, and in the process of finding scholarships, I would recommend start as early as possible because it gets very stressful and almost overwhelming at times because it feels like you're applying to like 600 things and 600 applications that are all asking for long essays. And sometimes it's like you get money, sometimes you don't. But I would recommend just to try to fill out as many as you can, because it's free money out there. There's so much free money out there that are waiting for people to like claim it.
Okay, so here's what here's what I believe is important to know when it comes to applying for scholarships, or even the time period, and creating a game plan as to when do you start looking at scholarships. Not so much when you start looking at what colleges you want to go to. I think your advice around that is on point. But let's just say if you're going to have a calendar for looking for scholarships, you should follow this particular time frame, and it's all year round. Like you can do this when you're a freshman in high school, a junior, a sophomore in high school, a junior in high school, and a senior. So do it every year. But even if you haven't done it and you're starting now, late, like Tyler and I did, go ahead and start. What's more important is that you just start as opposed to not do it at all. This will be beneficial for you to know when it comes to when you should apply. And so you should apply all year round. What time is it? Now o'clock. That's when you should apply. But here's a schedule for you. So we're approaching the summer right now. And so follow me with this. Between now and September is a great time to do research. Start looking at different websites, identify the different types of scholarships that are out there and their deadlines, so you're not going to miss them. And this is a good time to do it because you're not juggling school. You have some relaxed time during the summer. So prepare, plan through June, or from June through September. And then when October comes, that's when the free application for federal student aid opens up. So October 1st, do not be late. Be prepared. Get all of your stuff ready so that you can apply for that. And it's very simple. You want to gather all of your demographic information so that to make sure that when you sit down to fill out that application, you have it all readily available. Then you also want to make sure that you've gathered all of the income information that you're going to need, like your W-2 and your assets and bank statements, because they're going to ask you about that information. You want to make sure that if your parents have to fill out a portion of that, that you get them prepared as well. So go ahead and prepare for getting that application done anytime between October 1st and let's just say no longer than November. Don't go any further than that, because that's where this is the first come, first serve basis when it comes to the federal money that's going to be allocated out. Get your application in early. And then in December through January, this is where you want to keep applying. So keep the pressure on. It will pay off. The more you put in, the more you may get out on the back end. So definitely continue to apply for scholarships during the December and January time period, because now in February and March is when you're going to start hearing back from some of the schools about scholarship offers. And if you're able to get your application in the October, November timeframe, where some of the early deadlines are for scholarships, this is where you can get the most money, right? So you're going to find out some of the results of that in February and March, but continue to apply. Whatever you do, always apply. And now in April and May, this is when things kind of slow down. There might not be as many opportunities, but there's still opportunities out there. And if you go to some of these websites, you can actually search by deadline. And you'll find that there's still some scholarships out there that have a deadline in June, July, August, and September. So keep the pressure on. The key is that this is a numbers game. Remember, you can never apply for too many scholarships, and start early, and this will maximize your chance for winning. So you actually have received several types of scholarships. You received scholarships that were part of your grandmother's employment. You received some endowment scholarships from the Ohio State University. You also received a Pell Grant, some federal and state grants as well. So tell me about that mix of different types of scholarships that you received.
So I was incredibly blessed to be able to say that so I was incredibly blessed to be able to say and continue to say that I'm going to OSU for $0 because of my scholarships. And I think this kind of goes to show that like there's a lot of free money out there, but also specifically with the scholarships that I got was kind of later on in the process. And it was through an application called the special scholarship. And a lot of other colleges may have these programs where it's like an application where it specifically is like giving you one sheet you fill out, and it shoots it to a lot of different funds and grants and scholarships from like OSU alum or the college's alum. So I did that, and I was able to reach out to a lot of different funds and grants and scholarships, and that's what was able to fill my need for financial aid.
Yeah, and I would just say the first scholarship that you received for college was actually between your sophomore and junior year in high school.
Yeah, that was the ACAP program, which was able to me. Yeah, that was the ACAP program that allowed me to get a $500 scholarship from Plant Moran.
Yeah, so when you think about it, you can start even in your freshman year getting involved in these programs that are going to award you some scholarships or money that you can use later on in college. So that was your first scholarship, $500. You were very happy. Your mom and you were all excited, showing the big check and everything. And then you also were able to find other types of scholarships to apply for that we didn't necessarily get. But you did apply for them. Some of them required essays, some of them were non-essay related, but we were looking at all these different scholarships and making the application process. This is where we weren't really as organized and effective as we could have been, right?
Yeah.
So we had a Google Drive, and my goal was to put out their scholarships and their deadlines, and your goal was to go ahead and complete the scholarships to the best of your ability, do your essay, and then I was going to review it to make sure that you answered all of the questions particularly. And I'll tell you first, I kind of failed because I was putting those scholarships out there very close to the deadline. And the first learning is don't wait until the deadline to make your submission. You don't have to do it right at the deadline, do it as early as possible. But then the other thing, Tyler, what would you say your experience was in trying to fill out all of these applications and meet all of these deadlines?
So yeah, again, I will reiterate the fact that it sometimes is very overwhelming, especially when you're balancing it with schoolwork. However, it's important that you do it. And a lot of the time, some of the essays are kind of based around the same questions. So you can kind of like reconfigure other answers to kind of fit the mold for the specific scholarship.
Yeah, so what I would suggest too, when you think about it, Tyler, we wait until your senior year to start doing these essays, but you can start writing these essays your freshman year. And so imagine if you had written these essays your freshman year and then updated them every year. By the time you were really applying for scholarships your senior year, your essays will be really well crafted. You would just be better. You can't help but improve the more you write. And that was the other thing that we went through. You would write an essay and your message was on point, but then I would look at it and give you some suggestions, given your grammar, your sentence structure. What was that experience like for you when I was giving you your feedback on what you've written?
You're an intense person, so I would say if you're gonna have someone go through your essay, pick like a few individuals. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. Things can also get overwhelming because everyone has different ideas of what you should be saying or how you should be saying it or what things you should. I would recommend if you're doing something like this, find specifically like an English teacher or a English professor if you have that, or even a parent, and have them look over your essays and have them kind of help you and guide you towards like, oh, this is the thing that you should be turning in.
This will be good to know when it comes to the different types of scholarships. So there's really two types of scholarships. There's merit scholarships, and then there's need-based scholarships. Merit scholarships are based on some type of skill or ability. So it might be your grades, or it might be some academic ability, or a combination of both. A need-based scholarship is really based upon what's called the cost to attend, which is the cost to attend any college, compared to the expected family contribution, and that's calculated as part of the free application for federal student aid. And while cost to attend varies based on school, your expected family contribution really remains the same. So those are the two broad types. If you go to this website, www.studentaid.gov, it will tell you the different types of financial aid. So notice this website, you scroll down, there's also a video on the different types of federal student aid. That's great. And it talks about grants, scholarships, and all of the things that you probably didn't even know. But when you look at the different types, in addition to there being grants like the Pell Grant or the Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant, there's also scholarships that are put on or given by nonprofit organizations or private organizations that offer scholarships, sometimes based upon academic merit, talent, or particular areas of study. You've got the work study job program, which is a federal work study program that allows you to earn money to pay for school by working part-time, and they're really flexible with your school schedule. You got different loans. You can qualify for up to $12,500 a year for undergrad. For graduate school, it's around $20,500 a year that you can qualify for. There's all these different types of aid for military families, international studies, and state as well as federal government. And you can also go to the financial aid department of your college or your career school. And that's exactly where Tyler got most of his scholarships and grants from, by filling out a common application and finding out that he was a recipient of different alumni who had started endowments at that college for different types of things. And so one of the things that we'll talk about is this scholarship that he received from the largest Black-owned architect firm in the nation. And so we'll talk more about that later. But this is where you can go, look at the links below in the description section to download this information and do some additional research, because there's a ton of information out there that we just don't have time to go over. So Tyler, let's talk about the free application for federal student aid application. What was your experience in getting that application completed?
So that was the application seems very long when you start it. However, you were able to help me, and you filled out the form initially and gave it to me. So that way I could kind of use it as a baseline for filling out the FAFSA form. I would say it gets easier as you progress through college. So I think the very first year you fill it out, make sure it's as detailed as possible. Make sure you have all the information correct. That way, when you're moving through college in the next few years, all you have to do is just revisit the same application and just change a few things to update it for the current year.
And then when would you suggest that students fill out their free application for federal student aid?
So for the first year, I would recommend doing it as soon as possible, because the scholarships or the grants, because this one specifically grants, like the grants and the other financial aid awarded, is kind of given at a very first come first serve basis, kind of around those lines. That's at least what they say. So I would say to try to fill it out as soon as possible. That way you can at least get your foot in the door to a lot of these grants early on.
But what about your later years?
So fortunately for me, I was able to be allocated scholarships for all 4 years. So I wasn't too stressed on filling it out as soon as possible. However, if you're still looking for scholarships ongoing through each of the years, I would say you should still be filling out this form as soon as possible.
So given your experience, Tyler, in applying for the free application for federal student aid, what would you share with our audience about your experience and what you've learned?
So I would say that when you're applying for the FAFSA form, it is important that you do it when it first hits. Take the time to just fill it out as soon as possible, because at least when you first start, when you fill out the form, it allows you to get your foot in the door to a lot of these scholarships early on, because it is said to some extent that for you to get these financial aid things, a lot of it's first come, first serve. I will say, as I progressed through college, I did get a little bit lazy with it. So as of now in my senior year, to be fully transparent, I'm not fully sure how much of it's going to be covered. Fortunately, my past few years have been fully covered, so I'm not too worried about it. But I would say your best bet is to fill out the form as soon as possible on the first week that it comes out.
Yeah, and then you also want to get your master's in architecture. And so now could be a time for you to begin looking for scholarships for your grad school now, instead of waiting until you graduate.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's my way of saying we need to step up our game and start looking at applications for colleges and grad school and looking for the free money to pay for that as well, right?
Yeah.
You don't look too excited about that, Tyler.
I know it's stressful. I'm not excited for this process over again. It's like you think you're done, and then it's like, oh, another set of years in college. Get to start the same process over again.
But truly, it's worth it when you look at the money that you get and the fact that you're putting yourself in a position to really uh, to increase your chances of success.
Correct. Yes.
So now here's what you need to know when it comes to the free application for federal student aid. Make note, again, down below in the description section, there are links to these resources I'm going to share with you. So take the time to either make the note, look at this again, pause it, download the documents, and then look at that as I go over it with you. So now we're going to talk about how to apply. Now, there's all these different types of scholarships out there, and the best thing to do is just follow their instructions. It's going to be very simple. But the core scholarship application to fill out is the free application for federal student aid. So that's what I want to talk about. Make sure you fill that out first and early. Now, this scholarship is, again, it's going to be opened up on October 1st to apply for the upcoming school year. And every year, the Department of Education distributes $150 billion in federal student aid through grants and loans. So you don't want to miss out on your opportunity for that. As I said, the deadline is, it opens up October 1st. And so for the upcoming school year of 2021 and 2022, the window opened up October 1st of 2020, and it's going to close June 30th of 2022. And so you want to get your application in as early as possible before that. You can always go to their website, Federal Student Aid website that's here, and you can go to this website and get additional information on how to get started, how to complete the form, the different types of aid as well, managing your account, paying back loans and the glossary of terms. Step one, though, before you start doing this application, would be to make sure you get your list of schools that you want to apply to, because this is where you're going to have to put where you want this information sent. So step number one is make your list of schools. And then two would be to gather any of the financial data that is needed to complete the application, which would be your social security number, things like your W-2 or records to support your income, your bank statements or records of any investments. And also you have to record any untaxed income. And then you got to also go to this website to create a federal student ID. So both you and your parent will have to go to this website, studentaid.ed.gov/FAFSA. And then you can also use the app, which is My Student Aid app. But you log on, create your student ID, and you'll use this so that you can save your application and come back to it when you're filling out your free application for federal student aid. Now, and then you start you select the year that you want to do the application for. And there'll be a 9-month period of time where you'll have 2 school years where you can do it. But then when you select the school year, it's about now just completing the different sections. And there's 7 sections. There's going to be a student demographics section. That's going to be information that you should already know, like your name, social security number, address, driver's license, things of that nature. And then you got to select your schools. So these are going to be the schools that would get this information once you hit submit. Dependency status. So do you have any children? Are you dependent? The number of people in your household. And then your parents' demographic information is going to be next. So your parents have to fill that out, or you can help your parents fill that out. And then their financial information using their W-2 and things of that nature. And then once you've done all of that, sign and submit, and you're good to go. And you'll get a confirmation that it's been submitted. If you do this online, it will take around 3 to 5 days to process. If you do it by paper, it will take 10 days. And then what you're going to get back is your student aid report. And a student aid report will have the critical information that's needed, such as your expected family contribution, so that it can measure your need. And this is going to go out to the different colleges, and the colleges are going to use that information to determine how much financial aid they will give you for being accepted to their school. Important to know. Click the link below, download the PDF, and have fun with it. So a couple of other questions, Tyler. when you look at applying for these other scholarships, so outside of filling out the free application for federal student aid, then there's all these different types of scholarships that are out there and different instructions, different types. Tell us about your experience in applying for those scholarships, completing the requirements in the essay, and what you feel people can benefit from your experience.
I would say, I would again reiterate the fact that you should be applying to these things very early, but also when you're filling these things out, make sure these essays and these scholarships that you're filling out aren't just the generalized ones. I think oftentimes when you're looking for these scholarships, you're just looking at the big cash value ones. We have a lot of other people applying to them, but I think you should be looking for a wide assortment of scholarships, and you can find ones very specialized. I know there's scholarships for like people with left hands or that are left-handed, but I think one takeaway that I would give is like look for scholarships everywhere. There are books that they give out, big books where they just talk about scholarships and different ones you can fill out. And then using those, you can kind of start to fill out those things early as your freshman year in high school, and just keep doing that. Keep up like a nice consistent schedule with that. That way, when you're getting to your senior year, you don't have to worry about scholarships as much.
Great. So here's what you need to know when it comes to where to find these scholarships. So there's different types, but there's a lot of great resources. And Tyler, you and I, we actually bought 2 books, the Ultimate Scholarship book for 2018 and 19. And those books have way too many scholarships for you to ever apply for all of them. But it did help you identify these odd scholarships that you wouldn't even know about unless you found that book. But you don't have to buy a book. There's a lot of free resources. So again, click on the link below. There are links to these resources that I'm going to share with you. So pause the video, download the document, and then take note, because this is what we believe will be beneficial for you to know when it comes to where to find free money and then how to apply for these different types of grants and scholarships. So there are financial aid offices at every college and career school that have access to tons of free scholarships and grants that you're not even aware of. You can also go to your high school. There is this department, the U.S. Department of Labor website that I'll show you. And then there's also federal and state websites. You can go to your library. There's all these different foundations and religious organizations and community organizations, local businesses, civic groups that do scholarships, organizations that are associations as part of a professional trade that you can go to, fraternal organizations, ethnic-based organizations, and the employer of your mother and father or even your grandparents. So those are all of the different resources that you can go to. But the one thing I want to point out right now is this website that is a government website that provides a scholarship finder tool that is very, very easy to use. So if you go to this website that is on the screen right now, it's www.careeronestop.org. And you'll go there. If you scroll down, you'll see that you can filter and look for scholarships by different levels. So whether it's by field of study, by geographic, by interest, by profession, whatever you want to do, you can go there and find the same information that is in these books that Tyler and I bought that were the Ultimate Scholarship Guide. So definitely you should check this out if you haven't already. The next website you should go to is the website that's put on, is the U.S. Department of Education. So you can go to this website, it's here on the screen, www.2.ed.gov, and you have the image of the United States. You can do the drop-down menu and select your state, or you can actually click on the map, and it'll show you all of the different agencies and websites you can go to by state to find free money. It's just countless. And so definitely download the PDF that is in the description of the YouTube channel and take this information with you, research it. You'll have more scholarships that you can probably apply for. So Tyler, tell us about your experience when it comes to tutoring for the SAT as well as the ACT.
So I would say, starting out on my own, I took advantage of a lot of free resources out there, including Khan Academy and other ACT/SAT free practice exams out there. But then once I started getting later on in the process, I then was able to and was fortunate enough to have a private tutor. I will say from my experience, it wasn't necessarily how I thought my scores would be going after. But I do see some benefit from it because not necessarily the score that, or not necessarily the test that I was studying for, that one didn't really increase, but the SAT is what actually increased. But overall, it was an interesting experience. I would, if the private tutoring works for you, then that's great. But for me, it really didn't. However, I saw a benefit in using all of these other strategies alongside of this private tutor to help me increase my scores.
So here's the thoughts of Paulo Freire. And you might be asking, so who is Paulo Freire? So he was one of the most influential philosophers of education in the 20th century. So he was a Brazilian educator. And according to him, as it's structured today, what his thoughts are on education as it's structured today is that it prevents people from expanding their knowledge bases. He says the traditional purpose of education is like more of a depository of knowledge from parents and teachers to children as vessels of absorption. But as an alternative, what he promotes is a dialogue and critical thinking to motivate people to learn on their own and to think on their own. So he was very revolutionary and very influential. And I think it makes to your point, college or the traditional college route is not for everybody. And so, Tyler, again, I want to give you kudos for your success in finding free money. Thank you for spending your time with us in the Empower series and sharing your experience and also your learning. And I appreciate, man, this observing you and watching you grow up to the man that you are growing up to be. And I just cannot wait to see the further impact that you're making on the community and the people that are in your circle and in your life. So I love you, Ty.
I love you too. Thank you.
And,
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. I enjoyed this. This is a lot of fun. I enjoy helping people try to find a way into the college system. And I hope people took a lot of tips and a lot of the things that we talked about today into a higher level of discussion for themselves.
Wow, we covered a lot, didn't we? But there's no way we can cover all of the content that we wanted to cover. So that's why I created a PDF with a lot more information that you were probably looking for that we didn't have time to cover. So please go into the description section and download the PDF. Look through that. If there's anything that you have questions on, just contact us in the comment section or email us at thrive@empowerseries.com. I want to thank you for your time. Again, I hope this was very valuable. You've learned something, you were inspired. We've given you some hope that you can achieve your goal of being educated and not letting money be a hindrance. Get that free money. Apply, apply, apply. You can never apply for too much. And until we meet again, I would like you to be empowered and inspired to thrive. Thank you for watching our Empower Series YouTube video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Remember to hit the subscribe button below, as well as the little button to be notified the next time we upload our video. Until then, stay connected with us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever your social media flavor is. Inspire the world to thrive. See you soon.